Zelia raced through the dark forest toward the screams. Her feet barely touched the ground as she moved. The cloaking device hummed softly, keeping her invisible to human eyes. She reached the edge of the trees and stopped. Below her a small human, female child lay on the ground. Her leg was trapped under a fallen tree branch. She cried out again in pain. No adult humans were nearby. The child was alone and hurt. Zelia checked her mission parameters. Observation only. No contact, but something inside. Her rebelled against those cold instructions. This small human would suffer without help. She made her decision, keeping her cloaking active. Zelia approached the child. The girl had red hair and freckles across her face. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she struggled to free her leg. The branch was too heavy for her small arms. Zelia positioned herself on the opposite side of the branch from the child. She would need to lift it without being seen, without revealing her presence. She timed her move, carefully. As the girl looked away, Zelia lifted the heavy branch. The child felt the weight lift. She quickly pulled her leg free and looked around in confusion. "Hello, is someone there?" Zelia remained silent and still. Her breathing controlled. The girl stood testing her injured leg. It was bruised but not broken. She looked around again. "Thank you, whoever you are," she said before limping toward the town. Zelia followed at a distance, making sure the child reached safety. The girl found her way to a house on the edge of town. A woman ran out and embraced her. Zelia recognized her as Betty, the town's librarian, the human who kept their written knowledge. "Megan, where were you? I was so worried." Betty hugged the child close. "I was exploring the hill, Mom, and a branch fell on my leg, but something helped me. Something lifted it, but I couldn't see anyone." Betty looked toward the dark forest, her face showing concern and confusion. "What do you mean something helped you?" "I don't know, Mom. It was like magic. The branch just lifted up." Betty looked directly toward where Zelia stood. Her eyes narrowed as if trying to see through the darkness. "Well, whatever happened, I'm glad you're safe. Come inside now." As they entered their home, Zelia remained outside watching Betty move to a communication device and spoke into it. Soon another human arrived, Amy the doctor. Zelia had followed earlier. She examined the child's leg, spoke quietly to Betty, and then left. Zelia recorded everything in her data pad. She had broken protocol, interfered with human affairs. The council would not approve, but she could not have left the child to suffer. She was surprised by her own actions, by the strength of her reaction to the child's pain. She needed to process what had happened. Zelia returned to her ship, hidden deep in the forest. The small vessel was camouflaged to look like a rock formation. She entered and sealed the door behind her. Inside, the familiar blue lighting calmed her. She connected her data pad to the ship's computer and began her daily report. She included everything she had observed: the doctor visiting the isolated elder, the child's accident. But she hesitated when describing her intervention. If she reported breaking protocol, the council might end her mission, recall her, replace her with another observer. But if she omitted this information, her report would be incomplete, dishonest. Against everything she had been taught, Zelia made her decision. She would report the truth and accept the consequences she described. Lifting the branch, helping the human child. She explained her reasoning, her inability to watch suffering when she could prevent it. She sent the report through the quantum communicator. The response would come quickly. The council never delayed on disciplinary matters. Zelia prepared herself for recall for punishment. While waiting, she reviewed her other observations of humans. The data showed patterns unusual among developing species. Humans prioritized cooperation over competition more often than expected. They formed social bonds beyond family units. They created art with no practical purpose. They helped those who could not help them in return. These behaviors contradicted what the council believed about successful evolutionary paths. Yet humans had advanced quickly, despite their strange priorities, or perhaps because of them. The communicator chimed, a response from the council. Zelia opened the message prepared for harsh words. Instead, she found something unexpected. Observer. Zelia, your intervention is noted. The Council has reviewed your complete reports on human behavior. We find the evidence compelling. These creatures develop differently than our models predict. Your empathic response to the human child suggests you are well suited to continued study of this species. You will remain in place. Expand your observations. Focus on human cooperative behaviors, their care for each other. Continue to maintain cover, but you may intervene in life-threatening situations if absolutely necessary. The Council is reconsidering human classification. Zelia read the message twice. Surprised but pleased she was not being punished. Instead, her mission was expanding. The Council rarely changed its assessments yet. Her reports had made them reconsider humans. She looked out the ship's viewport toward the town lights in the distance. These strange beings had affected her, changed how she thought, how she felt. She had never disobeyed orders before, never felt compelled to help another species. Yet something about humans touched her, something she could not yet explain. The next day, Zelia returned to her observation point. The town was busy. Humans moved about their daily tasks. She focused on Betty and Megan, the woman and child she had watched yesterday. They left their home and walked toward the center of town. Zelia followed, curious where they were going. They entered a large building where many humans gathered, the town's meeting hall. She had observed it before, but never seen inside. This was an opportunity to learn about their governance. She slipped in behind them, careful to avoid contact with any human. Inside, people sat in rows facing a small group at the front. The town leaders Betty and Megan found seats near the back. Zelia positioned herself against a wall where she could see and hear everything. The meeting began. A gray-haired woman spoke, addressing the crowd. We've called this meeting to discuss the strange events happening around Pine Ridge. Several people have reported unusual sightings, sounds in the forest, lights in the sky, and now Megan's experience yesterday. Zelia froze. They were discussing her, or signs of her presence. Had she been careless? Had her ship been detected? Betty stood up. My daughter says something invisible helped her when she was trapped. Something lifted a heavy branch she couldn't move. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Others stood sharing similar stories, objects moving without explanation. Feelings of being watched. Glimpses of lights in the forest at night. Zelia realized her mission was compromised. Somehow these humans had detected signs of her presence. Despite her technology, her caution, they were more observant than expected, more aware. She needed to report this development immediately. But as she prepared to leave the meeting hall, the doors opened, and 3 human men entered. They wore dark uniforms, different from the town's normal clothing. They carried equipment. Zelia did not recognize government agents. Someone whispered. Zelia remained perfectly still. These new humans might have better detection technology. She watched as they addressed the crowd. We're here to investigate reports of unusual activity, one said. Please remain calm and cooperate with our questions. The situation had become complicated. Dangerous. Zelia needed to return to her ship to contact the Council. This development changed everything. The truth was about to be discovered. Zelia stood at the edge of the forest watching the human settlement below. Her purple skin glowed faintly in the earth moonlight. She had been studying these creatures for 30 days now. The Galactic Council had sent her to determine if humans were worth contacting or if they should remain isolated from the wider universe. Her people, the Azurians, were an ancient race. They had mastered space travel 10,000 years ago and helped guide dozens of younger species into the galactic community. But humans were different. They had developed so quickly from primitive tribes to advanced technology in just a few thousand years. Some council members feared them. Others were curious. Zelia was sent to learn the truth. She adjusted her cloaking device, making sure no human could see her. Her tall, slender body would stand out among the shorter, stockier humans. Her 4-fingered hands and large amber eyes would frighten them. She was here to observe only, not to make contact. The small town below was called Pine Ridge. It had only 5,000 humans, but it had everything Zelia needed to study. Their government, their education, their relationships. All the things that showed what kind of species they truly were. Zelia checked her data pad. The atmospheric scanner showed normal readings. No pollution, no dangerous radiation, just clean mountain air. The humans here lived in harmony with their environment. Unlike other settlements she had studied. A sound made her turn. A human female was walking through the forest alone. Zelia froze. The human should not be able to see her, but direct contact was still forbidden by council rules. The human woman had long brown hair and wore simple clothes. She carried a bag and seemed to be collecting plants. Zelia recognized her from previous observations. Her name was Amy. She worked as what humans called a doctor, helping sick and injured people. Zelia had watched her treat children with gentle hands and kind words. She had seen Amy work long hours without complaint, even when others could not pay her. Amy stopped near a small plant and carefully cut some leaves. She placed them in her bag and continued walking deeper into the forest. Curious, Zelia followed her. The forest grew darker and the path less clear, but Amy moved with confidence. Suddenly, Amy stopped and looked around. Zelia held her breath. Had she made a sound? Did the human sense her presence, impossible though that seemed? "Hello?" Amy called out. "Is someone there?" Zelia remained, perfectly still. Her cloaking technology was perfect. No human could detect it. Amy shrugged and continued walking. But now she moved with purpose, heading toward a small clearing ahead. Zelia followed, keeping a safe distance. In the clearing stood a small shelter made of wood. A thin column of smoke rose from its roof, a human dwelling so far from others. This was unexpected. Zelia checked her data. This location was not in her files. Amy knocked on the door. It opened slowly, revealing an old human, female with white hair and bent posture. She smiled at Amy and invited her inside. Zelia moved closer to the window, careful to stay hidden. She needed to observe this interaction. Inside the small home, Amy took items from her bag, medicine, food, and the plants she had gathered. The old woman accepted them with tears in her eyes. She spoke softly, thanking Amy for coming so far. Zelia activated her audio enhancer to hear their conversation. "The town council says you should move closer to Pine Ridge. Maggie." Amy said, "Living alone out here isn't safe." The old woman shook her head. "This was my husband's land. I promised him I would keep it. I can't leave." Amy nodded. "Then I will keep visiting you. But please use the emergency beacon I gave you if you need help." They continued talking as Amy checked the old woman's health. Zelia watched fascinated. The young human traveled far through dangerous forest to help an elder who contributed nothing to their society. This made no logical sense to Zelia. The Azurians respected their elders, but resources were always directed toward those who could best use them. As Amy finished her work and prepared to leave, the old woman pressed something into her hand. A small carved wooden animal. Zelia zoomed in with her visual enhancers, a bird of some kind. "I know it's not much," the old woman said, "but I want you to have it." Amy smiled and hugged the old human. "It's beautiful, Maggie." "Thank you." Zelia recorded everything. This exchange of care for a simple, carved object. The emotional connection between two humans with no biological relationship. The willing sacrifice of time and resources for someone who could give little in return. As Amy left the cabin and headed back toward town, Zelia remained, watching the old woman. She moved slowly around her small home, humming a tune, looking happier than before. She seemed at peace despite her isolation and age. Zelia made notes in her datapad. This behavior was consistent with what she had observed. Elsewhere, humans formed connections beyond logical benefit. They helped others without expectation of equal return. They valued things beyond usefulness. Night fell completely as Zelia finally turned away from the cabin. She had much to think about. The council would find this information valuable but confusing. Azurians had long believed that advanced species must follow logical patterns of behavior. But humans defied that belief as she made her way back to her hidden ship. Zelia heard a scream from the direction of town. She hesitated. Observation was her mission, not intervention. But something about that sound pulled at her. She turned and moved quickly toward the source of the cry. The sound came again. Closer now. Zelia increased her speed, her long legs carrying her swiftly through the dark forest. Something was wrong. Something that might reveal even more about these strange humans. Under stress, their true nature would show. What she would find would change everything. She thought she knew about humans and about herself. Zelia pressed herself against the wall of the meeting hall. Her cloaking device hummed silently. The 3 government agents moved through the crowd asking questions, showing devices that beeped and flashed. They were searching for something for her. She needed to leave, but the agents blocked the main exit. Her only option was to wait for a distraction and slip out unnoticed. She focused on the lead agent, a tall woman with short blonde hair and serious eyes. Agent Carol Wilson. The woman announced, "We're from the Special Sciences Division. We're investigating reports of unusual phenomena in this area." She held up a small silver device that emitted a soft blue light. This detects energy signatures not found in nature. The device began to beep faster as Agent Wilson turned slowly. Agent Wilson frowned and walked toward the back of the room, toward where Zelia stood. The beeping increased. Zelia remained perfectly still. Her cloaking technology should block their sensors. But something was wrong. The agent stopped just a few feet from Zelia. The device beeped rapidly now. "There's something here," Agent Wilson said quietly. Her hand moved toward her side where a weapon was holstered. Suddenly, the lights in the building flickered and went out. Darkness filled the room. People gasped and murmured in confusion. Zelia seized her chance. In the darkness, she moved swiftly toward a side door. Silent, invisible. She slipped outside as the backup generators restored, partial lighting outside. Zelia ran toward the forest, her heart pounded in her chest. She had never been detected before, never been hunted. She needed to reach her ship, contact the council. The mission was compromised. Behind her, she heard voices. The agents had followed her. Outside, their devices must have tracked her energy signature even through the cloaking field. This was impossible. Their technology should not be advanced enough. She increased her speed, her long legs carrying her faster than any human could run. But the beeping behind her continued. The agents had vehicles. They would catch her before she reached her ship. Zelia made a quick decision. She changed direction, heading deeper into the forest away from her ship. She would lead the agents away then, circle back when safe. She crossed a small stream, hoping the water would confuse their devices. The forest grew thicker, darker. The beeping faded behind her, but she could still hear the agents calling to each other. They were spreading out, searching. She kept moving, staying ahead of them, but she was moving farther from her ship, farther from safety. Night fell completely. The forest became dangerous, even for her enhanced vision. She slowed, moving carefully between trees over rocks. She had lost the agents for now, but she was lost herself in unfamiliar territory. A light appeared ahead. Zelia froze, then moved closer cautiously. It was a small cabin, the same one she had seen before, where the old woman lived. Maggie, the one Amy had visited. Smoke rose from the chimney. A warm glow came from the windows. Zelia hesitated. She needed shelter, a place to hide until she could safely return to her ship. But entering a human dwelling was strictly forbidden, even more than her intervention with the child had been. Yet the agents were still searching the forest. They would find her eventually. She approached the cabin slowly, careful to make no sound. Through the window, she saw the old woman sitting in a chair near the fire. She was alone, reading a book. Zelia studied her weathered face, the calm, peaceful expression. The human seemed harmless. But would she report an alien visitor? Zelia made her decision. She deactivated her cloaking device, revealing her true form. Her tall, purple-skinned body, her large amber eyes, her four-fingered hands. She knocked softly on the cabin door. The old woman looked up, startled. She set aside her book and moved slowly to the door. "Who is it?" she called. "Someone who needs help," Zelia replied, using her translator device to speak the human language. The door opened. Maggie stood there, her eyes widening as she saw Zelia. The alien prepared for screams for fear. Instead, the old woman simply nodded. "I wondered when one of you would finally show yourself. Come in, quickly before someone sees you," confused but grateful. Zelia entered the warm cabin. Maggie closed the door behind her and returned to her chair by the fire. "Sit, please," she said, gesturing to another chair. "You must be cold out there." Zelia sat, carefully on the human furniture, unsure what to say. How had this human accepted her appearance so calmly? "You are not afraid?" she finally said. Maggie smiled. "At my age, very little is frightening, and I've known something was watching us in the forest. These old eyes still see more than people think." She studied Zelia with interest. "You're beautiful. Not what I expected, but beautiful. Thank you." Zelia replied, uncertain how to respond to this strange human. "There are people looking for me. Government. Agents. The men and woman in black. Yes, they came here earlier asking questions." Maggie poured something steaming into a cup. "Tea. I don't know if you can drink it, but it might warm you." Zelia scanned the liquid with her wrist device. The components were safe for her biology. She accepted the cup, grateful for the woman's kindness. "Why are you helping me?" "Why did you help Megan when the branch fell on her?" Maggie asked. Zelia looked up, surprised. "How did you know?" "Word travels fast in a small town, and I know how to listen." Maggie sipped her own tea. "You helped one of us, now am helping you seems fair." This simple logic, this reciprocity was something Zelia understood, but there was more to it. She sensed. The old woman was curious, not afraid, interested, not hostile. "I am called Zelia. I was sent to study humans. And what have you learned about us, Zelia?" Maggie asked before she could answer. They heard vehicles approaching, lights flashing through the trees. The agents had tracked her to the cabin. Zelia stood ready to run. Maggie rose quickly for an old human. "There's a cellar under the floor hidden. Go there, stay quiet." She moved a rug, revealing a trap door. Zelia hesitated, but the sounds outside grew closer. She descended into the dark space. Maggie closed the door above her and replaced the rug from below. Zelia heard knocking, then voices. The agents had entered the cabin. They questioned Maggie, asked if she had seen anything unusual. The old woman denied everything, said she had been alone all evening. Her voice was calm, convincing. The agents searched the cabin. Their footsteps moving above Zelia's head. One stopped directly over the hidden door. Zelia held her breath. A device beeped softly, but Maggie spoke, distracting, them offering more tea, asking questions about their work. Finally, they left. The vehicles drove away. Zelia waited, listening carefully. When all was quiet, the trap door opened. Maggie peered down. "They're gone for now, but they'll be back. They know you're in this area." Zelia climbed out gratefully. "You lied to protect me." Why? Maggie returned to her chair, moving slowly, her energy spent. "Because I believe we should meet new people with open hands, not closed fists." She looked at Zelia seriously. "But you need to leave this area. It's not safe for you. My ship is hidden in the forest to the east. I need to return to it. Not tonight. The agents are still searching. You can stay here, rest, then go before dawn." Zelia looked at this fragile human offering protection to an alien she had just met. It confirmed everything she had observed about their species, their capacity for acceptance, for kindness. "Thank you, Maggie. I will not forget this." The old woman smiled. "Tell me about your world while we wait. Tell me about the stars." Through the night they talked. Zelia described her planet, her people, the Galactic Council. Maggie listened with wonder, asking questions, showing an intelligence that surprised Zelia. In return, she told stories of Earth, of human history. In those hours, something remarkable happened. A connection formed between species. a friendship, but as dawn approached, Zelia knew she must leave. The agents would return. Danger remained, and she had a mission to complete. A report to deliver, one that would now be very different from what the Council expected. What she had learned from humans would change everything. Before dawn, Zelia prepared to leave Maggie's cabin. The old woman gave her a small compass. The forest can be confusing even in daylight. This will help you find east. Zelia accepted the gift, touched by the human's thoughtfulness. I have something for you too. She removed a small crystal from her wrist device. If you ever need help, press this 3 times, it will signal me. Maggie held the crystal, her eyes wide. Will I see you again? I do not know, Zelia said honestly. My mission is complicated now, but I will try. They said goodbye. Zelia activated her cloaking device and slipped into the pre-dawn forest. The air was cool. Mist hung between the trees. She moved carefully, using the compass to guide her eastward toward her hidden ship. She avoided the main paths, knowing the agents might be watching them. Instead, she crossed streams, climbed rocky slopes, worked her way through the thickest parts of the forest. Several times she heard vehicles in the distance. The search continued. After 2 hours, she reached the clearing where her ship was hidden. The small vessel still appeared as a natural rock formation, its camouflage systems functioning perfectly. She approached cautiously, scanning for surveillance devices, finding none. She deactivated the camouflage, revealing the sleek silver craft. She entered quickly, sealing the door behind her. Inside, she checked the systems. The ship's computer showed multiple scan attempts during the night. Someone had been looking for unusual energy signatures. They had come close, but the ship's shielding had prevented detection. Zelia activated the communication system and sent an urgent message to the Council. Mission compromised. Human authorities aware of extraterrestrial presence, searching with advanced detection technology. Request immediate instructions. The response came faster than expected. Return to observation satellite. Avoid detection. Leave no evidence. Rendezvous coordinates attached. Priority level maximum. The Council was calling her back. She would need to leave Earth immediately before she could be captured. Before her presence confirmed what these humans suspected, that they were not alone in the universe, she began pre-flight procedures. The engines hummed softly, warming up. The navigation system calculated the optimal ascent path to avoid human detection systems. Zelia checked everything twice. This launch would be dangerous. Earth's primitive, but numerous satellites might detect her, even with stealth technology. As the ship prepared for launch, Zelia reviewed her data, her observations, her recordings, everything she had learned about humans. She could not leave yet. Her mission was incomplete. She had discovered something important about this species, something the Council needed to understand fully. Humans were different from any species the Azurians had encountered before. They were contradictory, illogical by Azurian standards, yet they had advanced rapidly. Their technology was primitive compared to the galactic standard, but developing faster than expected. Their social structures were chaotic but effective. Their emotions, which the Azurians had long ago controlled, seemed to drive their greatest achievements, not hinder them. Most importantly, humans showed remarkable acceptance of difference. The old woman Maggie had welcomed Zelia without fear. Betty and her daughter had described the invisible help without panic or hatred. Even the government agents seemed more curious than hostile. The Council needed to know. This needed to understand. If humans joined the galactic community, they would bring something new, something valuable. Their perspective, their emotional intelligence, their creativity, all qualities. The logical Azurians had diminished in themselves. Over millennia of evolution, Zelia made a decision. She would not leave yet. She would gather more evidence, complete her study of humans despite the risk. She owed them that much. She shut down the launch sequence and reactivated the ship's camouflage. She would move her vessel to a safer location, deeper in the forest, farther from human settlement. Then continue her observations more carefully than before. As she prepared to leave the ship, she detected movement outside. Her sensors showed a single human approaching, small, female, young. The child Megan, whose leg had been trapped. Somehow she had found the ship despite its camouflage. Xylia watched through the view screen as the girl walked slowly around the disguised craft, her hand reaching out, occasionally as if feeling for something invisible. Her face showed concentration, not fear, curiosity, not panic. Just like Maggie. The girl stopped directly in front of the main hatch. She spoke aloud. "I know you're here. I felt you when you helped me. I just wanted to say thank you." Xylia hesitated. Protocol demanded she remain hidden, avoid all contact. But this human child had tracked her here, had sensed her presence somehow, had come alone to express gratitude before she could decide what to. The girls had turned suddenly, looking back toward the forest. She spoke again quickly. "They're coming. The government people with their beeping machines. I won't tell them you're here, I promise." Then she ran, disappearing among the trees. Moments later, Xylia's sensors detected multiple humans approaching with detection equipment. The agents had tracked the girl, hoping she would lead them to their target. Xylia had only minutes to decide: launch risking detection or remain hidden, risking capture. She activated the emergency protocols. The ship hummed as its systems prepared for immediate departure. Detection was now secondary to escape. The engines powered up faster than normal safety parameters allowed. The craft shuddered. Outside, the agents had reached the clearing. Their devices beeped frantically as they surrounded the disguised ship. One reached out, touching the surface of the camouflage field. The illusion rippled, revealing glimpses of the metallic hull beneath. Xylia had no choice. She activated the launch sequence. The camouflage field collapsed completely, revealing the ship. The agents stepped back, weapons drawn. The ground trembled as the engines reached full power. The ship's computer spoke. Launch sequence compromised. Detecting. Targeting systems locked on hull. Recommend abort. But aborting meant capture. Meant humans obtaining Azurian technology. Meant violating the Council's most sacred law. Protection of advanced knowledge from developing species Xylia could not allow. That as she prepared for emergency launch override, a new signal appeared on her screen. A transmission from orbit. Not from the observation satellite, but from something else. Something massive. A ship had entered Earth's orbit. An Azurian ship. A message appeared. Observer Xylia, remain in place. Extraction team deployed, standby. The Council had sent help. A rescue team. Before she could respond, her sensors detected new movement. 6 small objects descending rapidly from the sky, heading directly toward her position, toward the human agents surrounding her ship. The objects landed in a circle around the clearing, each one opening to reveal an Azurian soldier, tall, purple, skinned, heavily armored. The agents turned their weapons on the newcomers, but hesitated. Confused, overwhelmed, the lead Azurian spoke its translator, converting words to human language. "Lower your weapons. We mean no harm. We have come for our observer only." Agent Wilson stepped forward, her weapon still raised. "You are in violation of United States territory. Identify yourselves. We are representatives of the Galactic Council. Your planet is under observation only. You are not ready for contact. Stand down and you will not be harmed." The human agents looked at each other, uncertain, but they did not lower their weapons. Xylia watched the confrontation from inside her ship. This was exactly what the Council had wanted to avoid. Direct contact, confirmation of alien life. Suddenly a new voice called out, "Stop everyone, just stop." Xylia recognized that voice. Maggie. The old woman walked slowly into the clearing between the armed agents and the Azurian soldiers. She looked small, fragile between these armed groups. "There's no need for weapons," she said, her voice calm but firm. "If they wanted to harm us, they would have done it already." Agent Wilson looked at the old woman. "Mom, this is a government matter. Please step back." But Maggie didn't move. "I've met one of them. Talked with her. She's been watching us, learning about us. She's a scientist, not a soldier." She looked directly at Xylia's ship. "She's my friend." The lead Azurian soldier turned toward Maggie's voice. "Human, this does not concern you. This situation requires military intervention. No, Maggie said simply. It requires understanding. That's what Zelia came for, isn't it? To understand us. Well, now we can understand each other. Zelia made her decision. She opened the hatch of her ship and stepped out into the clearing, between the soldiers of her own people, and the human agents, all weapons turned toward her. Maggie is right, she said. This is a chance for understanding. My mission was to observe, to learn. And what I learned is that humans are ready. More ready than the Council believes. The lead soldier stepped forward. Observer Zelia, you are violating protocol. Return to your ship immediately. But Zelia stood her ground. Contact has already happened. We cannot undo it. The question is what happens next. She turned to Agent Wilson. You came seeking evidence of extraterrestrial life. Now you have it. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you respond with fear or with hope? The agent lowered her weapon slowly. Listening. The moment balanced on a knife edge. Two species meeting. Officially, for the first time, what happened next would change everything forever. The forest clearing was silent as both sides considered Zelia's words. The morning sun filtered through the trees, illuminating purple Azurian skin and the dark uniforms of the human agents. No one moved, each side waiting for the other, both poised. Between peace and conflict, Zelia stood between them, a bridge between worlds. She looked at Agent Wilson, whose weapon was now lowered but still ready. Your people have wondered about life beyond your world for centuries. Now you know for certain. You are not alone. How will you respond? Agent Wilson studied Zelia carefully. Why were you watching us? What do you want from Earth? Knowledge, understanding. Zelia replied, the Galactic Council observes developing species. Those approaching the technology needed for interstellar travel. We learn about them before making contact. And what have you learned about us? Wilson asked. Zelia looked at Maggie, the old woman who had shown her kindness. At the child Megan, who had returned to the clearing, and now stood behind the agents watching with wide eyes. I have learned that humans are unlike any species we have encountered. Your emotions, your art, your connections to each other, your capacity for acceptance. The lead Azurian soldier stepped forward. Observer Zelia, you exceed your authority. This conversation violates Council protocol. The humans must be memory wiped. This incident contained. No. Zelia turned to face her own kind. The old protocols are wrong. The Council must adapt. The humans are ready for knowledge of the wider universe, not for membership. Perhaps not yet, but for awareness. That they are not alone. That there is more to discover. Agent Wilson looked between the aliens. You want to erase our memories, the Azurian soldier stood tall. It is standard procedure for premature contact protection for developing species. Knowledge given too soon can destroy civilizations. We have seen it happen. But it is our choice, Wilson countered. Our right to know our own fate. Maggie moved closer to Zelia. You told me about your people, your history, how the Azurians once valued emotion, art, connection, like we do, but you evolved beyond them, became logical, efficient, but lost something too, something you're still looking for. Zelia nodded, surprised at how well the old human had understood. The Council believes emotion leads to conflict, to war. They are not wrong, but they do not see what is also lost. The lead soldier raised his weapon again. This discussion is over. Observer Zelia, return to your ship. These humans will be processed according to protocol. Suddenly, a new voice joined the conversation. A message from above. The soldier's communication device activated, playing for all to hear. Attention, extraction. This is Council Overseer Micah. We have been monitoring. Your orders are rescinded. Stand down. The soldier looked confused. Overseer, this is not protocol. These humans have direct confirmation of extraterrestrial life. The protocols have changed. The voice replied, Observer Zelius reports her direct interactions with humans have been reviewed by the full council. The human capacity for acceptance for adaptation is greater than our models predicted. We are implementing first contact protocol. Remain in position. Representatives are inbound. Everyone in the clearing looked up as a new sound filled the air. A larger ship descending through the morning clouds, its silver surface gleaming in the sunlight. It hovered above the trees, then settled, gently at the edge of the clearing, its size dwarfing Zelia's small craft. The hatch opened and 3 Azurians emerged. They wore formal attire, not military uniform, their purple skin adorned with symbols of office. The humans and Azurian soldiers both straightened as the council representatives approached. The tallest of the 3 spoke. "I am Overseer Micah of the Galactic Council. We greet the representatives of Earth." She turned to Agent Wilson. "Your species has reached a critical point in development. We had planned to observe for 50 more of your years before making contact, but circumstances have changed." Wilson holstered her weapon completely. "What circumstances?" Micah gestured to Zelia. "Our observer has provided compelling evidence that humans are psychologically prepared for knowledge of the universe beyond your world. Your capacity for acceptance of difference, your artistic and emotional intelligence, your rapid technological advancement, all suggest you are ready sooner than we expected." Zelia stepped forward. "Overseer, the humans deserve to choose their own path." "Indeed," Micah agreed, "which is why we are here to offer a choice." She turned to address all the humans present. "We offer limited first contact knowledge that you are not alone in the universe. Cultural and scientific exchange within carefully managed parameters. Not full membership in the Galactic Council, not yet, but a first step, a chance to prepare your people gradually for the wider universe." "Agent," Wilson looked skeptical, "and if we refuse, then we will depart. Your memories of this encounter will remain intact, but we will withdraw. Our observers cease all contact until your species reaches space independently. The choice is yours." Wilson looked at her fellow agents, at Maggie, at Megan, then back to the Azurians. "This isn't a decision I can make alone. I need to contact my superiors." "Understood." Micah nodded. "You have 3 of your days to discuss and decide. We will remain in orbit waiting." The humans conferred among themselves. Zelia approached Overseer Micah. "Thank you for listening to my reports. Your methods were unorthodox, observer, but your insights valuable. The council has debated for days since your first contact with the child. Your violation of protocol led to important discoveries. What will happen if they accept contact? A new era for them and for us." Micah looked at the humans with interest. "They have much to learn. But perhaps we have things to learn from them as, well, their emotional intelligence, their creativity, their willingness to help those unlike themselves. These are qualities our species once valued more highly." 3 days passed. Zelia remained with the council representatives as the humans deliberated, leaders from around their world joining the discussion via their communication technology. The news was kept secret from the general population. For now, the humans understood the magnitude of their decision. On the 3rd day, Agent Wilson returned to the clearing with new humans, leaders from their government, scientific community, and military. They approached the waiting Azurians formally. A woman stepped forward. "I am Helen Wright, Secretary of State of the United States. We speak on behalf of the United Nations Security Council. We have reached a decision." Overseer Micah and the council representatives listened as the humans explained their choice. Limited contact, careful exchange of knowledge and culture, a slow, careful introduction of Earth to the reality of galactic civilization. "We choose knowledge." Secretary Wright said, "We choose connection. We choose to look forward, not back." Micah nodded. "Then it begins today, a new chapter for both our peoples." As the formal agreements were discussed, Celia found Maggie standing at the edge of the clearing, watching everything with bright eyes. "You helped make this happen," Celia told her. "Your kindness, your acceptance." The old woman smiled. I always knew we weren't alone. How could we be in such a vast universe? I just never expected to see proof in my lifetime. What will you do now? Zelia asked. Watch. Listen. Learn. Maggie looked up at the stars, now visible as evening approached. The same as you. Megan joined them, her young face serious. Will you stay, Zelia? Will you keep studying us? Zelia looked to Overseer Micah, who nodded approval. Yes, I will stay. I will be one of the cultural exchange officers, teaching and learning, building understanding between our peoples. The girl smiled. Good, because I have so many questions. As night fell over the clearing, humans and Azurians continued their discussions, the first careful steps toward a new relationship. Two species finding common ground, despite their differences, because of their similarities. The stars above witnessed this historic moment. This beginning, Zelia looked at the humans and her own people talking together. She thought about all she had learned in her time on Earth, about courage, kindness, acceptance, about seeing beyond difference to connection. She had come to study humans, but they had changed her too, opened her eyes to possibilities her logical people had forgotten. This was just the beginning. The path ahead would not be easy. Change never was. But it was necessary. It was right. And most importantly, it was chosen freely by both sides, as Maggie had said on that first night in her cabin. Sometimes you must meet new people with open hands, not closed fists. The universe was vast, filled with wonders and dangers, but with understanding, with patience, with acceptance, perhaps it could be navigated together. Zelia looked up at the stars. They seemed different now, not distant, cold points of light, but connections, bridges between worlds, between possibilities, between futures. She had come to Earth as an observer, but she would remain as something more, a builder of bridges, a creator of understanding, and that made all the difference.